Have you ever finished a really intense day of just thinking at your desk and felt completely wiped out, like run a marathon wiped out? Well, it turns out that feeling isn't just in your head. It's a real biological thing happening inside your brain. Today, we're going to unpack the science behind that mental fatigue and what's known as the glutamate trap. All right, so to really get this, let's start with a metaphor. I want you to picture your brain as this huge, sprawling city at night, lit up by 86 billion tiny, brilliant light bulbs. That's not an exaggeration. That's basically what's going on inside your skull every single second. Now, each one of those little bulbs is a neuron, firing away, creating your thoughts, your ideas, your decisions. And when they're all shining brightly, you feel sharp, you're focused, you're on top of your game. But what happens when those lights start to flicker, when they start to dim? Well, that is the feeling of brain fog, that mental sludge you have to push through at the end of a really long day. And this gets us to a question we've all asked ourselves. How is it possible to be so completely drained after a day where you barely even moved from your chair? The answer, it turns out, has absolutely nothing to do with your muscles. It's all about the hidden biological cost of just thinking. So let's get into the science of it. It's time to kind of pop the hood and see exactly what's going on in there. We're going to pinpoint the exact chemical process that makes your brain send out that "I am exhausted" signal. Okay, so the first key player you need to know about is a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or just ATP for short. The easiest way to think about ATP is like cash for your brain. It's your brain's energy currency. Every single thought, every decision, every time you focus, you have to spend a little bit of ATP to make it happen. It's the fuel that keeps all 86 billion of those light bulbs burning. Now, just like a car's engine produces exhaust when it burns fuel, your brain produces a byproduct when it spends ATP. And that byproduct is a neurotransmitter called glutamate. In small doses, glutamate is actually essential. It helps your neurons talk to each other. But here's the catch. When you do a lot of intense thinking, it starts to build up. And in excess, it's actually kind of toxic to your brain cells. So here's the chain reaction, laid out nice and simple. First, you're thinking hard, right? That consumes your brain's ATP. Second, using that ATP releases glutamate as the byproduct, the exhaust. Third, if you don't take a break, that glutamate starts to build up. And finally, your brain detects this buildup and does something amazing. It creates a feeling, an emotion, called tiredness. And this is the big takeaway here. Mental fatigue isn't just you running out of energy. No, it's an active signal. It's an emotion that your brain intentionally creates to force you to stop. It's basically your brain's biological stop sign screaming, hey, we need to slow down and clear out all this glutamate before it causes any real issues. Okay, so we've got this clear biological process, right? Thinking uses up energy, that creates glutamate, and too much glutamate triggers fatigue. What's so important to realize is that any thinking, no matter how small, contributes to this, and that gives us a really strategic way to manage it. So let's get to the solution, a system designed to stop that unnecessary buildup in the first place. It's called the decision diet, and it's a super simple but really powerful way to protect your most valuable resource, which is your mental energy. The whole point isn't to make better decisions, it's to make fewer meaningless ones, especially at the start of your day, when your cognitive tank is totally full. And the morning is absolutely the most critical time for this. Why? Because your willpower, your executive function, it's at its absolute peak right when you wake up. So spending that precious energy on tiny, trivial decisions, it's like draining your best resources before the real work even starts. Each item here is designed to protect that peak state. Lay out your clothes, pack your lunch, automate breakfast, set your one big priority before the inbox chaos takes over, and tidy your desk the night before. Altogether, these little things prevent dozens of tiny drains on your ATP. Let's just zoom in on one of these, automating your breakfast. I know, it sounds so small, so trivial, but deciding what to eat, checking if you even have the ingredients, then making it, that's actually a whole chain of little cognitive events. By making it automatic, same smoothie every Monday, you're not just saving time, you are literally preserving your peak brain power for the complex problems that actually matter. And this just lays it out so clearly. You've got morning A, the high decision morning. You're starting your real work already fighting a headwind, with glutamate already starting to build. Then you have morning B, the decision diet morning. All that friction is gone. You start your day with a surplus of mental energy, totally ready to point it where it actually counts. So, as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with this one thought. Take a look at your own morning routine. What is the single smallest decision you can just take off your plate tomorrow? Because getting out of the glutamate trap doesn't mean you have to change your whole life. It just starts with one less decision before your day truly begins.